You've likely heard about the walls of Jericho, where the nation of Israel marches around this city. Then on the very last day, they all shout out and the walls come crumbling down. And it's a great story. It's often pitched to us as, hey, why don't you circle around the thing that's bothering you in your life? Get ready to praise and shout and rejoice, and God's going to give you what it is that you are looking for. Don't get me wrong. I totally believe God does incredible things in our lives. But what I love most about this part of the story of the Bible isn't so much the victory over Jericho. It's a moment that I think we likely all experience and feel more so than the walls coming down and the victory. To really understand the weight of what is happening at this moment in the story, we need to understand what has been happening so far. We need to understand what has been going on. So this story is found in the book of the Bible that is titled after the person we're going to be looking at, Joshua. The Israelite people have entered into the promised land, the region that God had said they were going to inherit. The leadership mantle for the people is going to be passed from Moses down to Joshua. I can only imagine how intimidating this must have been for Joshua. Coming out of the shadows of a leader like Moses and everything that God had done for and through Moses, and especially the way that Moses communicated so intimately with God. But very quickly, the story tells us that God actually performs a miracle for Joshua and for the people of Israel, where he then stops the water of the Jordan River and allows the people to cross it safely. It's kind of similar and eerily similar to when Moses parts the Red Sea. And as a result of this miracle, it says that Joshua is then revered by the people the same way that they revered and looked up to and respected Moses. On top of this, Joshua then encounters the commander of the Lord's army, like this angel figure, who then tells him and gives him the instructions, hey, this is what you're supposed to do to this city, Jericho, and this is exactly how it's going to happen. And it is exactly how it happens. So the walls of Jericho come tumbling down. And the Bible tells us that Joshua's fame has spread throughout the land, causing fear amongst the residents because of what God is doing for them. For the very first time in their story, they have actually set foot and are starting to settle in the land that for hundreds of years their family had been waiting to inherit. It wouldn't be any stretch of the imagination to say that Joshua, as well as the people, are probably feeling pretty confident. So far, God has told them to do a thing, they have done it, and it has happened exactly the way they believe it's supposed to. So the time comes for them to advance on the next city. They send up some spies, and the spies come back and go, you know what, let's not worry bothering all of our people. There's no need for concern. It's not as big as Jericho. There's no massive walls. There's not a huge number of people. Let's just send a small contingent. We'll overwhelm this city and it'll be over in no time. So that's what they do. Joshua sends up 3,000 warriors to go and take over this other city, except it doesn't go as planned. The army that Joshua sends out actually gets routed. They end up running in fear. And the Bible tells us that out of the 3,000 men, they end up losing 36. And this is where the story starts to get real. I don't want to downplay the loss of 36 lives, but this could have been a lot worse in the grand scheme of things, okay? And the fact that this is military, this is war, this is ancient warfare, numbers could have been so much worse. Yes, 36 sucks, but it's a lot better than like half of your army being wiped out. Regardless, they were rerouted, they ran away, and as a result of this, the Bible actually describes the atmosphere of the people at this time. Their response is that their hearts melt, and they're described as becoming like water. It happens to the heart of their leader as well. In response to this defeat, he comes absolutely undone. Clothes torn, in the dirt, face down, falls before the Lord, and he has this super guttural, from the heart, honest, transparent, and absolutely raw prayer. This is the moment that I think we can connect with the most. Not the victory, not the walls coming down, but this really transparent processing of what is happening in his life. Joshua's prayer is recorded in the book of Joshua chapter 7, but really in summary, this is what he is saying, and these are some of his own words. Why did you bring us here just to let us die? Joshua doesn't know what it is he's supposed to do now. And he's convinced that what the future holds is death for him and all of his people. And he asks the Lord, hey, if we're your people and we all die, how's that going to look on you? He is come out of a season where he is so certain and absolute about what life with God looks like. And now he's here having this really honest prayer. And it's a prayer that is a complete reflection of a man who doesn't know, a man who's confused, a man who's wrestling really ultimately with his theology. He doesn't understand God. He doesn't understand how God is functioning. He is so confused. He feels like my lived reality, my experiences, what I am going through right now seem to completely contradict what has been advertised to me about who God is. All Joshua was doing was trying to follow God's will. He was trying to just do what he was told by the Lord to do. And now he feels like, look where this has got me. It's a crisis of identity. His whole worldview has been rocked. The opening of the prayer reveals this. In the original language that the prayer is recorded in, which is Hebrew, this is a cry of anguish and of sorrow. He's basically saying to God, you did this to me. Was this all a mistake? Like, was I listening? Did I do the right thing? Did I hear you properly? Is this actually what you wanted us to do? And you can understand his confusion. Like, you can understand how conflicting this is for him. If you just look at it simply, here's what's happening. He believes God told him to do something. God told him that they should have this land. God leads them to the land. God leads them into this land. And now 36 of them are dead. Joshua's lived experience at this moment feels a lot like God's just been setting him up. It's this real life moment where our lived experience seems to conflict with what we have been taught or what we at least understand about who God is. And if you're a person who feels like you have any type of relationship with God, this can be one of the most heartbreaking parts about when you go through a difficult season. It's this processing of, did I misunderstand him? Did I ever understand him? Who is he? Has he been falsely advertised to me? It's raw and it's real and it's deep. Like, this is a crisis of faith and identity. It's impacting his entire worldview. He's processing and reprocessing and analyzing everything. And he's looking back and he's going, you know what? We were probably better off back there. If we would have never actually crossed the Jordan, if we never went where you told us to, we would have been much better off. It's an interesting sentiment because the other side of the Jordan River actually wasn't freedom. It had been wilderness. It had been wandering. It had been instability. And clearly Joshua's tone had shifted somehow and for some reason over these years. If we were to jump back in Joshua's story, back to the time when Moses was still leading the people, there's a moment in the story where God tells the Israelite people that they should go up and take a look at the land that they are going to inherit. This takes place not long after they leave Egypt. So Moses sends 12 spies that go and spy on the land, and only 2 of the 12 spies are trying to encourage the people that they should go and take over the land. One of those 12 spies is Joshua. 10 of the spies tell the people that if they go up there, the people are too large and they're going to kill them and they're going to get overwhelmed and it's not worth trying to risk their lives to inherit the land that God said they are going to walk into. Joshua went and he walked through the land and he saw the produce and he saw what it held for them. He was so confident in that moment of what God was going to do. He gave a speech to the entire nation telling them not to fear the people who lived there. He's so adamant that they should go and just take over this land that the people actually end up wanting to kill him because they don't agree. He tells the people the land is really good, and if God is for us, and he is, he's going to give us the land. Like, we don't need to fear the people. Like, those are his words earlier. We do not need to fear the people if God is with us. And now the script is completely flipped and he's lying before God and he's saying, I am going to die. I am terrified of these people and they are going to kill me and all of your children. So what we see from his prayer is that he's confused by what God is doing. There's shades of regret for listening and following in the first place. And he has a fear over something that may not ever happen. What he is currently experiencing, what he has recently encountered is more true and more a reality than who God has been, what God has done, and what he has promised. His life and his experiences are now the lens through which he sees God, instead of God's word and God's character and God's promises being the lens through which he views and processes his life. His current trial has completely unraveled everything he knew about God from the past. This is the relatable part of the story. It's the part of the story that I can connect with, and maybe you can too, because I have been in those seasons. I've been in those places and those moments and those trials where what I'm going through just does not seem to compute at all with what I have read about God in the Bible. The things that I'm going through don't seem to line up with God's goodness or his mercy or his grace or his love for me. I don't have a box that he fits in amidst all of what I'm feeling. The Bible doesn't shy away from these really human moments. It doesn't try to whitewash people who we uphold as heroes in the story. It's a moment that just honestly reflects what so many people have felt. God, what's going on? God, I didn't think you function like this. God, I don't understand who you are. God, this seems to conflict everything that I thought I knew about you. God, I thought you had promises for good things, and this certainly does not feel like that. God, it doesn't feel like you really are close to the brokenhearted. God, I don't think you can work this out for my good. I've heard people say that you are this way, but my life, my circumstances, my pain, my lived reality is telling me that you aren't. I didn't think this is what it would look like to follow you. I didn't think this is what you had in store for me. I thought when you told me to do this, it was going to look a lot different. That is so real. Ugh, I've been there. If I'm honest, I have thought, God, I'm being obedient. Everything should work out perfectly. And that's the part of the story that I'm like, this is what we can relate with. We live there. I do. Okay. Maybe you don't. Maybe you're better than me. I unfortunately don't have a billion Jericho wall coming down moments, but I've got a lot of these ones. Don't get me wrong. I have my Jerichos, okay? Like God has done some incredible things in my life, but this season, this is one that I can identify with so much more. It's just so real. It's so human. I want you to have your Jericho. I want your walls to come down, and maybe you're wanting them to right now. I also want you to know that from this story, it's okay when you're struggling, when they aren't coming down. It's okay to be raw. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to be honest. And it's okay to ask these really tough questions of yourself and of God, because that's exactly what Joshua's doing. You're allowed to bring your completely undone self before the Lord. I think that's a part that reveals like this isn't religious. This isn't about religion. This is about relationship. And it's about a God who allows us to come this honestly and this transparently and this unperfectly before him. Sometimes our faith feels like Jericho. The walls come down and there's victory and there's celebration and there's rejoicing. And we can see so clearly like God did this thing. Sometimes our faith feels like our face is in the dirt. And the Bible doesn't skip that part. Better yet, it doesn't shame those people either. You're allowed to be real. Honest, raw, human. Sometimes God's voice feels confusing, conflicting, or distant. And the Bible doesn't skip over those parts. It doesn't edit out our confusion. It gives us permission to be honest and raw and real. Like we don't have to be fake and religious when we approach God. We can just be transparent. If I'm honest, some of my most transparent times in prayer with the Lord, I said potty words. But falling apart and walking away are two completely different things. And the Bible gives us the opportunity to just sit and hurt and ache and be honest and petition and just tell God we don't get it. We don't get him. And right now, it doesn't make sense. But sitting there is different than walking away. Joshua's clothes may be torn. He may be covered in dirt and he may have fallen face down, but he fell down before the Lord. If you feel like your prayers sound a lot like Joshua's right now, I am genuinely sorry. I don't need to understand or know the season that you're going through to at least be able to identify with what you're feeling. I've had all the same questions and they still arise in my life today. I'm not going to give you any pithy answers. I'm not going to tell you here's this one Bible verse that is the solution to everything. I'm just going to tell you it's okay. It's okay to bring those weighty questions and those curiosities, but bring them towards the Lord. If you have the strength to do one thing, I hope it's to just stay pointed in his direction, to keep asking those questions, to keep seeking him, to pour your heart out to him, because The God of the Bible can handle it. Give him your pain, your frustrations, your questions, your honesty. And in time, I believe he'll give you answers. Just be real, because we can.